As a child, the future leader of the Winter's Claw watched as her tribe's numbers slowly dwindled before her. Cold and starvation were the biggest killers out in the icy tundra, and only the most resilient survived its grasp. Sejuani was the only one of her siblings to survive to her 10th year, leading her to believe too that she would also die in misery. In a desperate attempt to evade death, she sought the spiritual counsel of her tribe's mystic. But the seer stunned her when she said that she did not foresee her death, but instead prophesied that Sejuani would one day conquer and unite the divided tribes of Freljord. This was all she needed to hear, and with absolute resolve in her faith, Sejuani spent the rest of her days as she grew up, pushing herself to extremes that would have killed anyone without her will to endure. She walked into blizzards without food or furs, and trained while frigid winds raked at her flesh. She clashed with the strongest warriors of her tribe until her legs gave out beneath her. Upon her ascension to leadership of the tribe, Sejuani commanded that her warriors follow her example. Under her rule, the Winter's Claw grew stronger than they'd ever been before. In the end though, it was an offer of peace rather than an act of war that began Sejuani's campaign of conquest. On the first day of winter, envoys from Ash's tribes approached Sejuani's camp, bearing a gift of Avarosan grain. The Frost Archer's intent was clear. If Sejuani united with her tribe, the Winter's Claw would never again go hungry. Sejuani saw this as nothing more than an insult to her and her people. In Ash's tribe, she saw men and women slight and soft, who would prefer to farm instead of fight. Sejuani had nothing but contempt for them, and it was absolute. She gathered her people and set the grain alight, proclaiming that Ash's offer of charity would bring only weakness. She stripped the envoys of their supplies and sent them back to their queen with a message. The Winter's Claw would prove to the Avarosan that only the strong deserved to survive in Freljord. With the grain burning behind them, Sejuani rode out with her war band to inflict the first of many painful lessons to come. She would strike out against her enemies with the hardship and barbarity that had forged her into what she was. She had been tempered by the Freljord until her pain had become power, hunger and encouragement, and frost an ally in culling the weak. In Sejuani's eyes, her followers either have the mettle to endure or the right to die. And once she'd conquered the Freljord, she knew that those who survived would form a nation to be feared under her rule.